Yes, so welcome to Vasily's Garden, folks. Today we're out in the Espaliered section, our citrus trees that I've been working on the last year, a couple of years actually, not 1 year, a couple of years, and we're looking at a lime tree. Have a look at it. The videographer's telling me this frame's not big enough for it. Well, it is. All you got to do is prune it. So we've been training this over the last couple of years to grow it at Espaliered. This is what we call informal Espaliered. If you haven't seen me talk about this in the past, we've been training these up from young. And what I mean by young, there's a little lemon tree over there that's still young. That's a recently planted one. And that's how big they were compared to what this is now. So a couple of years later, a little bit of a feed, and you know what we love using, all our favourite fertilisers. And pruning. Now the pruning is crucial to get it right so you don't get it to bush out. Otherwise it will revert back to its original form, which is a nice round tree. And if you're sitting along here, you can see it's actually grown out now already. Now that is as far as you probably want it to grow, and any more than that it'll end up becoming a bush again. And it's not only on this side, it's also on that side. So what we need to do is get airflow and sunlight in the middle. Now if you look closely, come here. Black, grit, calcium silicate, phosphate. This is what happens. You get lots of little fruit like that. There, you get fruit over here, you get fruit over here, you get fruit there, and there's fruit everywhere. Lots of fruit. So now that we have to prune it, we've got to be careful we don't take off too much of the fruit. We're not going to be able to keep it all, but the way you want the fruit to grow, let me get rid of this yellow leaf, is your main stem. See this? We've got our structural integrity in place. So we've got our main branches running along here like this. So that's what we've created. That's the main structure. And then from there we have fruit growing off the ends here. So this is the little fruit there. You've got the little stub there. You don't want it to grow off a long branch. And if you come back over here, which is in the shade, I hope you can see it now, we've got fruit down there, but then we've got new growth coming up. So this branch here is also overlapping. We don't want that, so we're going to cut it off there. Keep the fruit on the end, and hopefully that fruits beautifully. Now we've got fruit on the end here. Now do we want to keep that? We'll have a close look. Amazing. More black grit. That's all it is. It's amazing. It actually set fruit, folks. I'm not kidding you now. If you haven't tried it, you're missing out. So we're going to cut it back to here. Oh, we knocked one of the flowers off. That's okay. So we've cut it to there. Let's just clean that up a bit more. We've got four limes. We've got 4 limes there. So the idea is to have a nice flat espalier. It doesn't matter if you've got air pockets in between. That's good for the sunlight. What you don't want is this density in here. Now this dense foliage is good to have, but if there's no fruit on it, we don't need it. And you can see I've cut it back in the past down to here. All down to there. Now I'm not going to cut it back to this hardwood again. I'm going to cut it back to a butt above. Like that. So I'm going to go around now. That's not bad for now, but look at this one here. That's come out of down here somewhere, all the way down there. We've cut it once. We're going to probably cut it back here again and just teach it to stay small, and hopefully with that new little bit of wood that we've got there, we may get some flowers on it next time. We've got to work around the entire tree. The aim is to avoid overlapping. So when the branches are growing out, you don't want one branch on top of the other. That's what's happening right there at the moment. And if I was to look closely, we have got a structural branch there. I've just taken a branch off there, and it's off the framework, but we've got all this stuff trying to grow in. But if you come and have a look at this, see this branch over here? It's actually growing over the top of that one there. We don't want that to happen. So we're going to work our way back down and see where it's coming from. We're going to get rid of it here. Don't need it. We're going to open it up, folks. And again, another branch is coming into this space here. It's actually growing out. There's no fruit on this either. So we're going to cut it back down to a short stub, and we're going to work our way through the tree and do the same everywhere. Analyze it, see where it's overlapping and where it's not. If it's overlapping a main branch that it shouldn't be, cut it back. If it's got fruit, cut it back to the fruit. If there is no fruit, cut it back even harder. If it's growing in the wrong direction, cut it off completely. And you can see what's going on here. This one's growing out, so I'm going to take that off and leave the fruit up there. We've got a few branches in here Do we need that there? No, we don't actually need that branch in the background. It's actually on the other side. Hey, guess what? We've got two sides of this espalier. It's not just the one side you've got to work on. I'm going to work on this side and then work on the other side. Now, look at that. It's hanging out. It's already hard. I can tie it back there, but look how messy it gets up there. We've got too many going on. Do we need it? I don't think so. We've got gaps everywhere. So we can create a little bit of a space there. That will go there beautifully. This one again, overlapping. I'm repeating myself because that's what I've got to do here, because that's the same pattern that we're creating here. We're getting rid of stuff that's growing out and over each other. A long stick here, no need. Cut it back down. That's growing out. We'll cut it back to here. Wait, we've got fruit here. Yes, we have. So we cut it back to there and we'll leave the fruit on. Beautiful. Nearly there. There you go. I've just done both sides there, folks, and now this needs to be clipped back as well. I'll use our plant tool or a tape tool. That's the little plastic little ribbon that we put on it to tie it back down. For example, this one here needs to be tied back down to flatten. We've got one over here that we need to flatten as well. But if you look at it from the side on as you are now, you'll see this one, and in the far distance, that's the mandarin. You can see how much that's grown out of control as well. So that's what will happen with your tree if you don't prune it back. And if you don't get enough airflow in the middle, well, the fruit won't actually ripen properly and it'll start to drop its fruit. With the black grit, it's got a tendency of keeping all its fruit on the plant. It doesn't really shed its fruit. You'll need to thin it out. And by pruning it like I've done it now, you're going to be sacrificing, 20-30% of the fruit production that the tree's going to give you normally otherwise. So this way you got less fruit on it, you got a better chance of getting bigger fruit, and you get better airflow in it, and you can avoid all the pests and diseases that get into the plant, because they love to hide under the leaves or in the cluster of leaves, so you can't see them. But with the sunlight on them, they don't like that because they overheat. This is a lime tree. You saw that mandarin over there, and just another topic here. Well, it's not another topic, it's another tree. This is the orange tree. Now this has got, look, I'm not going to say hundreds, but at least 100 fruit on it. I don't expect to keep it all on there, or it to keep it all on there. This needs to be pruned back as well. For example, there, all this dense foliage in here doesn't need to be there as well. You can see it's overgrowing. Out of the 100 fruit, if I keep 20 on it, I'll be wrapped, because that's more than enough for a tree of this size to be able to produce. Even 20 is a lot for a small tree. So espalier your trees, which are a great way to do them. If you've got a small courtyard or a backyard garden, or even down the side of a house, it needs to have sunlight. You can't grow it in the shade. In complete darkness, citrus trees will struggle. They need to have plenty of sunlight in the afternoon. And now I've realized why my lemon tree struggles, because it's in complete darkness. Anyway, so espaliering a citrus tree, you can do it like this, which is informal. It's a fan shape. That's why we got the mesh in the background. It doesn't have to be this type of material. It can be any type of background you like, but you can do it like this as a fan shape. I have done the formal shape, which is a formal espalier, and that is training horizontal branches like you would a fruit tree, like an apple. So you got horizontal branches, which is really difficult to train as a citrus. It takes a lot longer, at least 5 years, before you get to see fruit, because you are constantly pruning it to get it to that perfect horizontal framework. So you got a central leader, horizontal branches 30-40 centimeters apart, and eventually you'll get suckers like there's no tomorrow growing straight up off the horizontal. You've got to train them back down, trying to get them to stop their growth and stump their growth, and hopefully fruit and flower. And that's using wood ash and black grit. We've got the one at the garden centre, and if I remember next time I'm down there in Coburg, I'll show you the lemon tree, which is actually fruiting now. It's a horizontal, formal espalier. It needed a bit of attention because I was away for about 5 years, but it is fruiting. So espalier your fruit trees and citrus trees if you haven't got room in your garden. And remember, feed them well, feed organic matter. You know what I spoke about the other day. If you haven't seen that post, search for it. And we're talking about growing your own food, understanding the quality of food, food production, the food density, the nutritional benefits that you have, the microbes, the soil bacteria, our gut biome, all of that is interconnected. So whatever you do to your garden as far as it comes to growing food is what you do to yourself. So you are are what you eat, and make sure what you eat is healthy, clean, and you know what's gone into the ground so that you are going to benefit from it and not hurt yourself from it as well. So FasiliesGarden.com is where you'll find everything you need that's natural, organic, and good for your garden, which is going to be good for you. Black Grid 18 kilo is going to end soon as shipping offers concerned. So if you haven't ordered it at this heavily discounted price, folks, don't miss out. Take advantage of the sale and get your shipping involved, or you can click and collect as well and still save a bucket full of money. And if you shop, I should say, before the 24th of December, you'll go into the draw for the $500 Christmas garden hamper that we're going to draw on Christmas Day. It's all at FasiliesGarden.com. From me, Vasily Maresi. I'll see you tomorrow.